Yeah, let me go to Morgan Lynch first. Morgan, go for it, sir.
Okay, I think I'm good. Okay, so this was very interesting, actually. I like this this kind of comprehensive talk about all these UAPs. I guess the first question is, where did you get these videos? Is this like YouTube stuff, or is this from like Pentagon or DARPA, or like like some?
Well, my source was the people that were putting on the UAP disclosure symposium in Utah. And they said that their source was the military.
Okay.
So like I think the one what is it, the Apache, I think that was the not the Coast Guard, but the yeah, the National Guard or the Coast Guard or someone like that. It was there are different branches of the military involved, but they're all government sourced and authenticated by the government. So
And do you know if these are, because I guess there was this congressional hearing or whatever a week or two ago. Do you think that these are from this list of UAP observations that these guys have?
I don't know the answer.
Okay. And then, okay, so you had this list of, I guess, of observables about whether or not it's natural, space-time effects, etc. I guess the first question is, with the space-time effects, you were talking about like near field and far field, where you could see like vortices and things like this. How are these space-time effects measured? What are you doing to the video to get to see if there's a space-time effect?
Well, when I say far field, it's like I'm looking at it big picture from far away. Like the first example is the Apache. I start out and I say, here's a far field image. And if you look up it, to the right and above, you see this funnel shape thing. Okay. That's a far field effect. Now, if we look at the, for example, the Tic Tac video where it's not warping, the one before that, where I'm showing the little balloon featers.
Yeah.
Right. Those are far field effects. Okay.
Okay.
So near field, and then you have close-ups, and I have like in the what is it, in the Apache, I do a close-up where you see the three little dots doing a dance, right? That's a close-up. And then when you're looking at the actual little dots that are moving around, that's the near field. And when I say near field, I'm looking at what's going on inside where we see the hot spot. Essentially, we're looking in the hot spot when we're looking at the near field.
Okay, and then I guess we have these hot ones. Is there any, because I recall, I don't know if it was the Nimitz or the Tic Tac, where it was you had the FLIR that was tracking it, and then the thing actually like took off outside of it, which because it like accelerated to some crazy value where even the camera on the jet couldn't even keep up. And so, do you know
the tracking? It lost tracking is what's going on. Okay, so it locks on to it tries to lock on the Tic Tac, but the Tic Tac's moving, and then the Tic Tac also, if you watch the whole video, it kind of like does what could best be described as cloaking. Okay, where it disappears on optically. If you look at it with the optical image, you don't see the Tic Tac anymore. But when you look at it in the infrared, you can just barely see something there. And then it's like the Tic Tac knows it's been seen, because imagine somebody's pointing their microwave gun at you, because that's what radar is. It's like a microwave gun, and it hurts.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I mean, you don't want to sit next to a radar source for the same reason you don't want to stick your head in a microwave oven.
Yeah. And do you know what I mean, the velocity of these things? I wanted to ask, actually, more importantly, like, because there's the UAP from like the Nimitz one versus like there's the Bruja one, or this last one, the rubber duck, the cold ones versus the hot ones. Right. And it seems to me, are these things going like, say, 10 meters per second versus like beyond the speed of sound?
Say, well, Bruja is going pretty slow, because you can see how fast a cow is walking compared to the movement of the UAP. That's why I captured that. on the other hand, the rubber duck, from what I have heard in talking to Chris Leto, who was a pilot, he basically said that was about somewhere between 200 and 300 miles an hour.
Oh, really? Oh, so
that
this
one
is
was
not like a
moving
balloon or
fast.
something.
Yeah, that one was moving fast.
Okay.
So, but in both cases, they don't seem to be intelligently designed. They don't seem to be like doing evasion maneuvers. They don't seem to be interacting with the environment around them. Specifically, the La Bruja one, it's not that far from those cows. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been around cows, but they get spooked pretty easy.
Yeah. And let me see. I think that might be all my questions. Natural, artificial. Okay, and so basically, this is a list of, I guess, new videos that you've seen for people claiming these. Oh, okay. So that's the last one. You have natural or artificial. What makes you say it's natural or artificial? What kind of criterion, or what is it that's making you?
Well, in the Tic Tac, you can see it's actually creating a far field effects. You can see it's creating features that show up in the atmosphere. Okay, with the other thing you can see is like I said, it does evasive maneuvers. It does, and when you see the EMP pulse light up the back of the infrared sensor, that suggests to me that there's a response.
Actually, it's funny. That was one of the things I was thinking, because I do agree with this Hal Puthoff kind of interpretation of things. And what's interesting is, I mean, I don't know what sort of sensitivity things, but if you have a flash of IR in a camera, maybe you have a small window of sensitivity of the electromagnetic burst, which can tell you a little bit about the electric field at the source. And that should be able to tie you into the length contraction or whatever of this thing, or the velocity. I don't know if there's some pixel rate or whatever, but there should be some length contraction smearing correlation to the burst energy.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like that. If you look at the little Tic Tac, it looks like it's going really fast. And then
there was one of the things, actually, because I'm actually working on some of these things right now, because when you're dealing with these strong field effects, it's the energy of the particle it remains constant, but the momentum can change with strong field effects.
Right.
And the momentum gives you the wavelength or the length or whatever. But like,
it tells you that it affects the light that you see coming off it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, but thank you. That's cool videos. I like these things. These UAPs are interesting. So I don't know if you have any more, please keep sharing them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share them here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So let's go to Jared next, sir.
Hey, Michael. Awesome
Jared.
synthesis. Really, really comprehensive. I thoroughly enjoyed. Kind of expounding a little bit on one of his first questions. So one of your last videos, you showed an overlay of the magnetic field lines on the ground.
Right.
How did you get that?
Well, that's Steve Leah's proprietary process. Basically, the best way to describe it is it's a type of, how would you do it? It looks at the magnetic spectrum.
Is it coming from that camera, or is it overlaid from satellite imagery?
No, it's just the image processing technique.
Interesting.
He takes the frame and he processes it. Okay, and basically it's not something that can be. We don't know what the outcome is before we run the thing. Okay, it's basically what, and it shows. I've seen some pretty amazing photos. Like he's got this one photo where he took of the President Kennedy assassination, and you can see the direction where the shot came in and everything, and it all shows up as like, it looks like turbulence and stuff, but it's basically it's a type of spectrum analyzer is the best way to describe it.
Fascinating. I got to look into that more. My other question was regarding the solar flares. So it seemed like sometimes they were noticed after the UAPs or before the UAPs. Was there?
Well, they're always, in one case, when a hole opened up in the magnetic shield of the Earth, and then that's the A10 one. You'll notice that the whole atmosphere looks like it's alive with like protons flux coming from outer space. Essentially, all the cosmic rays got an opening in the Earth's magnetic shield, and they're coming in there, and basically that happened real time. Okay, the other one, the like Apache one, where you had the 3 UAPs, and in the Apache there, that happened the day before the solar flare. And that's why I think it's this pre-signal thing. Like when I showed my data for the nano pit, where I'm creating a little tiny expanded space-time field, okay, you could actually see the signal for the gravitational induction signal before the electromagnetic induction signal. So basically it produced, when you push this stuff out into space and you make this big void, this bubble, as I call it, it's moving. It seems like it's moving really slow, but it sends out a pre-signal a day before the solar flare. So that's what I see is going on here. And I also saw that came with this rubber duck video. I saw the same pattern here. A day before the solar flare, we had this rubber duck UAP show up. The thing that distinguished the two is the Apache one, there were sunspots, but the rubber duck UAP, it was blank. There were no sunspots. So, I mean, obviously these are just hypotheses and would require a lot of data collection to establish that it's a viable what I'm proposing. But there's I think there's something there. It's worth investigating. So
there's a there between sunspots and the UAPs and the precursoring of the other.
Well, and the cool thing about this is it's natural, man. It means that this is something, this space-time metric engineering isn't something that we need aliens to create. The sun's doing it all the time.
So just one last follow-up on that. It looks like a fair amount of, at least the examples you showed, those are UAPs, the natural ones, are somewhat close to the ground. We're not seeing these in high atmosphere. We're not seeing these out in space. Do you think then there may be atmospheric relationships or requirements for us to even observe these?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to have a ground, and you got to have your power supply. Okay. In one case, it's whatever this pre-signal is. It's the power supply that's going a pre-signal. Okay, and then basically it's the same with lightning, right? And I believe that these plasma vortices are probably observed in outer space and in the upper atmosphere. I would think that it's not close to the surface of the ground, because we know that there's like inner cloud charge exchange going on. So
so that just helped me remember. So back when they were doing Project Fishbowl, where they were exploding the nukes up in space in Earth orbit, right? Before they realized that was a bad thing to do. Around that time, that part of those tests, they were trying to identify the Van Allen belts. They were using that as let's see if we can put messages in a bottle, little trackers to see how they flow for the radiation belts. Do you think then we may see some of these UAPs up around those radiation belts, especially if maybe in the golden era of UFOs of the 50s and the 60s, when the government may or may not have been, getting their fingers in that pie, that we may see some of these natural UAPs up where those field lines are intersecting?
If the conditions are right, I think they would occur, but it's a depends question. You got to have the right You got to have the right polarities in the fields, or else you won't see these interactions. You have to have the vortices. Okay, and these little hot spots, I think, are because of the properties of the vortices. The apex of the vortice is where this is occurring. What's really cool is the cold ones, because that's a real mystery. Is it some kind of Einstein, what do they call it, Boise-Einstein condensate or something like that? What's going on there? And if that's natural, that's pretty darn cool. So the answer is, I don't know, but it's worth investigating.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah, so much stuff with UAPs. You guys need to get me a death ray. We'll just solve the UAP problem once and for all. We'll just take care of it. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, so let me go to Josh next, sir.
No.
Oops, where'd he go?
There, he's talking, but
Oh, Josh, you don't have your audio doesn't look. Oh, it's just really faint. Can you turn it up?
You guys,
a little better. Just put your mouth next to the microphone.
can you come back to me?
There we go.
We hear you.
I couldn't hear you. Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I got to stop using this thing Zoom. I don't know. 2 weeks ago, I did. So I was wondering if there was any analysis done to try to determine the distance of the UAP, not just the altitude, but the distance from like maybe the nearest mountain, or something like that.
Yeah, there is, but I mean, some of the displays, typically they'll say what the range is of the thing in the display. It'll say like 2.5 miles or something like that. So it'll give you like, but a lot of that data, like on the last 2 videos, it doesn't show any speed or anything. And I think it's because of the camera is on the ground.
Okay. So yeah, what I noticed was that the 2 videos, the La Bruja and the rubber duck videos, you could definitely see the ground in the background and like the cows in the background. So it seems like it's a lot closer to the ground, and those are both cold. So I was kind of wondering, like you mentioned, it could be a condensate, but like I was kind of wondering if maybe you thought it could be some sort of like a ground-based ball lightning or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, the thing about the ground is it's good because it can show the contrast. Like it shows the one, I think it's La Bruja, it shows the cactuses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, the rubber duck, it shows the snow. So you can see the snow is the same brightness as the rubber duck, for example. So that gives you an idea of how cold it is. It's not real cold.
Right. So I think it might be 2 slightly different effects that just look similar. Like maybe the cause is slightly different, or like you said, there's no sunspots on some of them and there are sunspots on others.
Yeah, Jared just posted that ball lightning's around 1500 degrees.
Yeah,
and then a lot of ball lightning is
maybe what are they, cold fusion?
Well, yeah.
Well, no, but ball lightning, a lot of ball lightning is swamp gas, right? And I love swamp gas. That's going to be my excuse for everything.
I think ball lightning is actually a slightly vague term, not to particularly.
Well, ball lightning is a type of plasma vortex. It's
right, and some plasmas are
natural. It's a natural phenomena.
Right, and some plasmas are hot and some plasmas are cold. So cold plasmas could be energy negative, and that could explain some of these.
I love swamp. I firmly believe you can use swamp gas to explain pretty much anything, right? Anything, And I think it should be used
Explain
more.
Teleportation to me with swamp gas.
Swamp gas. It's obviously it was swamp gas drifting across the road. It was just drifting really fast, right? See, and I think that really pays homage to like the 20th century and the government. You could use swamp gas for anything.
Well, see, now I've given the government a whole cornucopia of new things to blame it on.
But they lack the mystery and elegance of swamp gas.
Well, I like cold fusion better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. But you know what? Maybe that's happening in the swamp gas.
So anybody, any other questions?
Just one further comment. Also, I was remembering, if you get into super deep woo land, you know, very low quality information of the UFO lore, those magnetic field lines have been suggested as one of the areas where portals, wormholes, traversable somethings open up for interstellar travelers. If indeed we were seeing some of these effects, I'm just totally spitballing here. Maybe they are natural, maybe they're not, but it could still have an interaction, an intersection between visitors, right? Using any of these effects, being fully aware of the conditions of the local star, going, okay, the good time to pop in is going to be around this window of opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Wasn't there a speaker who talked, Tim, who talked about traveling in a plane where they basically cut the time short? They got a
David
traversable
Perez.
wormhole in the atmosphere, essentially.
David Perez. And then I think what Jared was kind of alluding to also was the world grid, right? And David Hatcher Childress wrote that, Anti-Gravity in the World Grid. I actually owned a copy of that book.
Cool.
And I never to this day, I still don't understand it, unless it's just like they're transposing Mercator lines with energy lines, or it's like a modernization of ley lines. I don't know. I never understood how anyone determined, you know, where the grid was, basically. But
I thought it went like where the pyramids were located and stuff like that.
Oh, of course, yes.
And Stonehenge. Don't forget about Stonehenge.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
Once you,
right? Yeah, you know,
it wasn't a dating site, right?
Well, I was just gonna say you had me with pyramids, you know.
Right. Don't forget the ley lines.
Yeah, no, the ley lines are the pyramids and Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and the Azores underwater pyramids, and the Tokyo underwater pyramids, and the Cuba underwater pyramids. There's another one I'm missing. No, there's enough of them around that you go on Google Earth and you can just start drawing them yourself, and you can almost find new ones if you just follow the lines.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I think Bill has a question.
Oh, Bill, go for it, sir.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes, sir.
I noticed a sign, bumper sticker behind you that says mystery spot.
Oh, the Santa Cruz.
You've been there, right? And did you study it at all, or?
Well, I haven't quite decided if it's an optical illusion or an actual real effect, to be honest with you.
That's for real. That place is for real.
Oh, I know it's for real.
The guy that wrote the book on it, Douglas Voigt is his name.
Cool.
And he did some measurements there. He used a crystal oscillator. And he took the oscillator on a long cable and walked into the phenomena and noticed a change in time.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Did he?
And then I studied it as well. I used an Accutron watch. Okay, and I observed a slower tick rate.
Oh, that's cool.
Which means that it's an increasing gravity anomaly.
So what I
towards the center of the phenomena.
A way to actually measure it would be using my invention, this mass spin valve. Basically, it's spinning at a constant rate, and when you go into this gravity anomaly, it should affect that time delay that you see between the electromagnetic signal and the gravitational induction signal. So it should be a measurable device, and that's one of the applications of my invention, is to create standard Earth gravity timekeeping, so that you could basically go to the moon or wherever else, and you have a fixed reference point in space-time that you can reference. And you need that.
Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, you need that
to do teleportation. That's the key to teleportation, is to have that you have to have a clock, basically.
Uh-huh.
The first
Oh,
thing
it's
you gotta
nice.
have is a clock in your circuit that you can reference.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have two clocks, one
Right.
inside the phenomenon, one outside.
Or in this case, one on the moon and one on Earth. Right?
There-
Gravitational fields would be different.
That's, and I just used this time to figure out what we should do as a group. Tailgating party at Stonehenge. Now, before you say no, give it some thought. Give it some thought.
Let's have a Burning Man.
That's that. Well, yeah, we could. Yeah, no. The thing is, at Burning Man, we blend in too well. No one would even notice.
Oh,
They'd be like, "Who are those guys? They look so normal."
yeah, that's true. But we could come up with some good costumes, I bet.
But think about it. Tailgating party. Yeah, heck, like a Stonehenge kegger. You know, get a T-shirt. Yeah, like I threw up at
APEC is
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
Yeah. So
well, that was fun. I enjoyed it, and I also have for when we're in the off, when we're done with when we're in the open session, I put this thing, I call it a hypothesis of trans-dimensional Earthlings.
oh, there you go. Like many worlds kind of thing.
Yeah, it has the Greys and the reptilians in it.
Oh, not them again. Not them again. Okay, well, so let me do this then. We're a little bit ahead of time, but let me put this thing back on gallery view. Everyone, please give Mr. Michael E. Boyd an enormous applause. Thank you. Thank you. It seems like the last couple of sessions, our information density is going back up, you know? That's why I'm trying to inject cheesy humor, because it's like we're getting heavy duty again in terms of content. So well, so let me do this.